Moving on to item number 8, discuss and consider a city property tax reduction for citizens over 65 years of age or disabled. Councilman Martin. I got it correct this time, put this on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, put this on here because if we were kind of in the mode, we just kind of want to do something for the seniors and disabled. And I went down and talked to Wes down at CAD, found out what the other tax entities were doing exactly, and found out that the hospital, water, and county all do the same thing, with the exception of the school, and it's a little bit different. But those three entities do what I've got here. Wes was kind enough to run the numbers for me. I asked him if he would let us know what the impact would be to the city if we'd done something like they did. And the only thing we didn't do exactly like what they did, I just put the 65 and over and disabled. They also, those three entities also include if you're homesteaded at any age, you still get the same thing. But after I saw the numbers, I didn't think we could withstand the expense of that.
What's the total, is it 87, is it the 87? Mm-hmm. That'd be the total impact our ad valorem.
How much did you say?
Is it this 87,000?
Well, if you done all three of them. If you done all three of them.
Okay.
I just asked for the, I think I got it on the agenda for the 65 and over and disabled, which that dropped it down to 39,370.
Right.
So it's a little less than 40,000 if it's 65 and over and disabled only. If we done all three of those, it would be nearly 88,000. So it's quite a bit of difference. Disabled was $3,256, and the over 65 was $36,114. So it's but it's across the board. If you're over 65 and you're homesteaded, you're eligible for it. Doesn't make no difference, you know. Using a walker or whatever and can't do anything, you're eligible for this. And I think it's a lot more fair and consistent across the board.
Councilman Bryant.
Mr. Murray, you saying disabled at any age?
I believe that's correct, isn't it, Wes?
It is.
Yeah.
And the law requires it to be disabled at any age.
And they were very explicit down there. They said that disabled, you had to be 100% disabled and get a check from SS,
Yeah,
right?
the tax code's really specific on the disability exemption.
That's with the homestead?
Yeah, with homestead.
Yeah,
I gotta be homesteaded, disabled.
Also,
But, you know, I know the only question is I know it's more money than what Councilman Jones is talking about. But to me, it's a lot more consistent, and a lot more fair this way. And then for the people in the audience, because I didn't say, they may not know, what we're talking about is a $50,000 reduction on your evaluation.
Now, anyone that applies for this, at this point, their taxes will be frozen at this rate. So if we have to raise taxes down the road, the burden will be on someone else, right? Their taxes will remain at this level, is that correct?
yes, because the city currently offers a freeze.
Okay. It would freeze at these rates right now.
It would freeze it at the point that
If they
are
apply.
qualified.
Qualified. Yes, Councilman Brown.
The way I'm looking at this is a great extension of what Mr. Jones was saying. Only downfall would be that, of course, the city would not get any return assistance from the taxpayer, which I was kind of hoping that the plan would work out previously that we would, but this is just, it is going to be more fair straight across the board ultimately, which is what my main concern was on the prior plan.
Councilman Martin.
You know, something else we may want to consider, and I'm assuming we can, the way it's written up on the agenda, and I don't think it'd be a problem with this. Wes will say if it is, but here we're talking $50,000 reduction. I guess if we wanted to consider $30,000.
And you can change the number from 50
Yeah,
to
and
more than that.
of course, we don't know exactly how much it's going to drop it, but we know it's going to. It would drop the hit on the city quite a bit. if we dropped it from 50 to 30 or whatever.
Something like this too could not be implemented this year anyway.
That's correct.
So we still have time to formulate something
Yes.
if we want to tweak it,
Yes.
because we can't implement it this year anyway.
That's
So,
correct.
so we've got time to tweak it if we want, if council so chose to.
Wes just said we need, if we want to do something, we do need to get in the process and get.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right. That way you would know what it would impact your budget for next year's cycle.
Correct. Yes, Councilman Reeves, I'm sorry.
It seems tonight that I am really the devil's advocate on all the issues. And I can talk, since I'm over 65 pretty far, over 65 homestead, we are allowed to pay our taxes quarterly so that we're not hit in a big slump. That's something that hasn't been mentioned in any of this whatsoever. And yes, it shows on the tax roll, we still owe X amount, but we have to make that payment. And for me personally, that helps a tremendous. I can't agree with dropping to 50,000. I mean, it would have to be much less, because we were just talking about all the infrastructure that we have to do within this city, and we denied money to do a bridge because of what we had, our reserves. And so, I'm speaking for one myself who is not one of the rich that have moved in here as a taxpayer and owns a house. I'm speaking as someone that can only do theirs quarterly. So I personally feel like that since we already have you said there was the city has a freeze.
They had the fridge, yes,
Right, that we have a freeze, that this is where we stay until we see where we're gonna be off next year with all the infrastructures that we have to do.
Other comments from council? Councilman Bryant?
The 50,000, it does seem like a lot, but the way I'm looking at this is this might be something that would entice more people to move in, regardless of the amount of money, maybe retired or just seniors in general. I mean, any kind of a cost cut, to me, is always good for retired or seniors. So the 50,000 doesn't come across to be that much if we can actually look at it like this may be bringing some more citizens into Glen Rose. I like the fact that it's equal across the board. That's one of my biggest
And
issues.
I totally agree with that. I guess the 50,000 and the amount of impact it's gonna have on us. Ms. Martin, the 50,000, is it the 36,114 that's gonna be the impact on us? Or were you adding something in earlier?
Plus this.
Oh, plus, okay.
This
plus-
able,
just-
it was
Would
40,000.
include, okay.
39,000.
40, okay.
And we could easily figure that right there, if we cut it from 50 to 25, that's, how much is that? 30,
That's just half,
they would
so.
cut it in half, which would be how much?
I don't have my,
I would've put mine up.
I'm spoiled with my calculator.
36, it'd be 18.
18,
It'd be about
okay.
21,000, so that's not too far above what we was talking about on,
Okay,
we were
yeah.
at 15 really with if we was considering any other deal.
I guess the 50,000 is just such a shock for me. You know, if you're talking about half,
But to tag on what Councilman Bryant was talking about, I don't know if you ever noticed in the ads in the real estate ads in the paper, a lot of times you see it outside the city, those city taxes. You know, it's just a big come on to trying to get people to buy the county and not the city.
No city services either though.
Councilman Jones?
You know, we worked really, really hard and, you know, we're so proud of our 38.4 cent rate.
you know, and that is the biggest bait I've ever seen anybody have for a city, you know. And why people move here, they don't even worry about, they're probably not looking in that tax dimension, you know. If they're moving here, they're building a $200,000 house, and that's because they can. And I don't really want to give them a break, you know, because they're already coming down here. The second part is that you've already shifted it, you know. I'm under 65 for many years, a lot of years, a little more than Chris. But that means that I don't get a break for this, and yet I'm going to be giving my break to the over 65. So
Councilman Ramsey?
we're doing our
Another
job.
point is that we're forgetting that up on the hill where several of us live, I mean, that whole area is booming up there with people building houses, and they're 200,000 and above. So obviously, they're not too upset about, because they're usually older, younger and older people. It's a good balance. Older people, if they're selling to move, they're gonna move to a house, they're not gonna move to the country or to a subdivision within the county.
I don't think we're having problems getting people here.
Exactly.
Other comments from council? Anyone from the audience like to come and comment on item number 8 at this time? Anyone from the audience? Okay. Coming back to item number 8. With the way it's written here, are we saying we have to accept it as it's written right here on this piece of paper?
There's no dollar amount.
There's no dollar amounts on this. If we're getting sort of a motion, are we looking for a dollar amount? Brady, is that?
If y'all want to include a dollar amount, that's fine.
Yeah.
That would be the whole board of the item, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I would be at this time looking for some sort of, yes, Councilman Martin.
I'll make a motion if you're ready.
Councilman Martin has a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we consider a property tax reduction for citizens over 65 and disabled, homesteaded for both of them, for a reduction of $25,000,
Okay.
which would be half of those figures that we're looking at. So it's going to be at a little bit less than 20,000.
25,000. So,
Well,
okay, so I have a motion from Councilman Martin for a tax reduction for citizens over 65 years of age or disabled at a $25,000 cap.
yeah, a $25,000
Freeze.
Freeze.
Wouldn't it be?
No, it wouldn't be a freeze.
It's an
would it?
exemption.
Exemption.
Pardon me? Exemption.
Exemption,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, just leave out what the rest of it is, covered. We don't know exactly what it
Okay.
is. We just use $25,000.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Martin for an exemption of $25,000 for citizens over 65.
I'll second that.
I have a second from Councilman Bryant. All those in favor of a tax reduction for citizens over 65 years of age at an exemption of $25,000? In favor? I have 2 in favor. I'm sorry. I have 3 in favor. Okay, any opposed? I have 1 opposition from Councilman Jones, so that passes 3-1 in favor.